he's telling us he's turning the camera on. So we got.
Well, I didn't want you to say stuff you want to.
I ain't afraid of the camera.
Good evening. Who was the first man of our race?
Adam. The word means ruddy.
And his wife was
Eve.
Eve. Okay, can you find the genealogy right quick?
We got a genealogy book.
And it'll give you the list of the genealogy. We go to Seth. And who do we go to?
Are you wanting the New Testament one?
No, just Genesis chapter Genesis chapter 10. Somewhere back here.
It is. It starts with, now these are the generations of the sons of Noah.
Okay, you gotta get
So we got
before that. Of Adam.
There's something in there myself.
Genesis 5:3. That's good. Genesis 5:3.
Satan?
And Adam lived 130 years and begat a son in his own likeness after his image, and called his name Seth.
Okay. Next one. Seth.
Seth lived 105 years and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Seth was 912 years, and he died. And Enos. Oh, you're just wanting names.
Yeah.
And then there's Enos, Canaan.
Canaan. How do you spell that?
Cainan.
Cainan.
N-A-N?
Cainan.
Okay.
Mahaliel.
Yeah. M-A-H-E.
H-A.
L-A.
L-A.
L-E-L. L-E-E-L.
E-E-L.
Mahaliel.
Okay.
Jared.
Jared. How do you spell Jared?
J-A-R-E.
A-R-E-D.
J-Red.
Okay.
Enoch.
Enoch. What do you know about Enoch?
Jared lived 162 years to beget Enoch.
Enoch begat daughters in all the days.
Lived 65 years and beget Methuselah.
Okay. Enoch is the father of Methuselah. How do you spell Methuselah?
M-E-T-H-U-S-E-L-A-H.
What we know about Enoch is he ain't died yet.
Enoch has not died.
Yes, he walked with God.
And how long did he walk?
After he begat Methuselah 300 years, he walked with God after he begat Methuselah 300 years and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Enoch were 365 years.
Okay, 365.
And Enoch walked with God and was not, for God took him.
Okay.
Would that be exciting?
Now,
Yes.
Methuselah, after Methuselah we have
Lamech.
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 He lived 180 years.
And begat a son and called his name Noah.
Is it C-H?
L-A-M-E-C-H.
L-A-M. Lamech. And then Lamech was father of Noah. Okay.
Shem, Ham, and Jacob.
Noah. Noah begat
Shem.
Shem. Let's see, Japheth was the oldest, so I'm going to put it that way. J-A-P-E-T-H. And then Shem. And then Ham.
There's an H after the P in Jacob.
Oh, yes. Okay. The the primary ones we're dealing with right now is Shem. Shem, what's the lineage of Shem? Who can tell me this? The son of Ham, the first generation that was. Let's see, we had how many sons of Ham? There was 4 or 5 listed. What did they list first?
We've got to go over to 10, don't we?
Shem, father of all the children. The sons of Ham are
The father of Canaan.
sons of Ham, Cush, Mizraim,
Okay, Cush.
C-U-S-H,
That's chapter 10, verse 6.
Okay, Cush.
and M-I-Z-R-A-I-M.
M-I-Z.
Raim, R-A-I-M.
R-A-I-M. Okay.
And Put, or
Put.
P-H-U-T,
Okay.
and Canaan, C-A-N-A-A-N.
C-A-N-A-A-N. Okay, that all that's listed?
Yes.
Okay. Now, who was the son of Cush that was notable?
Seba.
Huh?
Seba, S-E-B-A,
That was the first son?
Yeah.
and Havilah,
Havilah.
Havilah,
Are those brothers?
oh, I
Yeah,
guess.
these are the sons of
And
Cush.
Sabtath, S-A-B-T-A-H, and
Ramah.
Ramah, R-A-A-M-A-H, and Shabbatha, that C is silent.
Sabbath.
Savage Ha. And the sons of Ramah, Sheba, and Dedan. And Cush begat Nimrod,
Cush begat Nimrod.
and began,
Okay.
and he began to be a mighty one in the earth.
So you're looking
Okay, so that's what I want to get to is Nimrod.
Curse of Nimrod.
Cush, Nimrod. Okay. And Nimrod is the father of what kingdom?
Babel.
Babel. Yeah, Babel.
And at the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, and
And
Erech,
Babel is the foundation of what kingdom?
Babylon,
Babylon.
and Erech, E-R-E-C-H, and Akkad, or A-C-C-A-D, and C-A-L-N-E-H in the land of Shinar.
Okay, now Mitzrayim. You know what country Mitzrayim was?
No,
Anyone?
just a minute, Mitzrayim. Begat Ludin, and Anamim, and Lahabim, and Naphtuvim, and Pathrushim, and Cashludim, out of whom came Philistine, the Philistines. Philistines.
Okay, so out of Mitzrayim came the Philistines.
Philistines.
Came the Philistines.
Yep, Philistines. And
And it was
and Canaan.
And it was also Egypt.
It's like World War.
Egypt came out of Mitzrayim. Okay, now the sons of Shem.
Sons of Shem were, well, let's see.
Well, you missed a few. I mean,
We didn't write all of these.
there were the families of the Canaanites,
Right, we didn't.
Yeah.
and the Hivites, and the
Yeah, all the ites.
Shem,
Okay, so Shem begat.
he was, and his children were
Arphaxad.
Asher, Arphaxad, Lud, and Erech.
Okay,
And
Arphaxad is the one that's in the genealogy. A-R-P-H-A-X-A-D.
now that's in Jesus' genealogy.
Right. Okay, who's the next one? Where does it say
Eber.
the beget? Eber?
Eber, Arphaxad begat Selah, and Selah begat Eber.
Oh, Selah?
S-E-S-A-L-A-H. That's chapter 10, 24.
And then Eber?
Eber
Two sons.
begat 2 sons.
Peleg.
One of them was Peleg, and in his day the earth was divided, and his brother's name was Joktan.
And his brother is Joktan. J-O-K-T-A-N, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, and then Peleg was the father when he was the one in the lineage?
Yep. Was he in Jesus' lineage?
I think so, yeah. He was after, who does Peleg beget?
Peleg begat, just a minute. Joktan begat, oh my, whole bunch of them. And then, let's see, just a minute. Eber lived 430 years and begat Peleg. And Eber lived after he begat Peleg 430 years and begat sons. Peleg lived 30 years and begat Reu.
Okay.
That's 11:18.
There you go. How you spell that?
R-E-U.
Okay.
And Peleg lived after he begat Reu 209 years and begat sons and daughters.
Okay.
And Reu lived 230 years and begat Serug. S-E-R-U-G.
Serug, yeah.
Yeah. And Reu lived after he begat Serug 207 years and begat sons and daughters. And Serug lived 30 years and begat Nahor.
Nahor.
We're getting closer to Abraham. And Serug lived after he begat Nahor 200 years and begat sons and daughters. And Nahor lived 920 years and begat Terah.
T-E-R-A-H.
T-E-R-A-H. And Nahor lived after he begat Terah. What did you say? How'd you say it?
T-Row.
Terah. And 119 years and begat sons and daughters. And Terah lived 70 years and begat Abram. A-B-R-A-M.
Right.
Abram, Nahor, and
And
Haran.
Haran. Yeah.
And Nahor.
And these are the generations of Terah. Terah begat Abram, Nahor, Haran, and Haran begat Lot.
Who beget Lot?
Haran
Haran?
begat Lot. And Haran died before his father Terah in the land of his nativity in Ur of the Chaldees.
Okay. Now, so now we end up with Abraham. His name was changed to Abraham. Okay? Abraham had, in the lineage we have,
Okay, hold on. We got a typo here.
make that Abram.
Abraham.
Abram becomes Abraham. Haran begets Lot. And then in the lineage we have Abraham. The son of Abraham was
Isaac.
I-S-S. Who this is? I-S-A-A-C. Okay? Isaac begets
Jacob.
Jacob. Who is
Jacob
Israel.
begat Judah. Israel.
Okay? Jacob has
29.
Oh,
12.
12 sons, and one of them is Judah, and that's where Jesus comes from.
He has 12 sons and one daughter. Can anybody tell me the daughter's name?
We talked about that last week.
Laura? No. No.
Ah, I got you.
It's the
Does it not
daughter.
say
There's only one girl.
The one that they slaughtered the whole
Dinah?
city for.
Dinah.
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 Questions?
Yeah.
Dinah. Okay. Now, can you name the 12 sons of Israel?
Dan.
Can you name them in
Oh,
okay, Dan. I don't know. I think he's
No,
down
he's
about
way down about.
down here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Joseph.
Huh?
Joseph.
Joseph.
Benjamin.
Joseph was here. Benjamin is last.
Levi.
Reuben.
Okay.
Naphtali.
Okay, hang on now. Levi was the third. Levi. Reuben was first. I'm gonna spell it right. Who did you say?
Naphtali.
Naphtali. He's down here.
Zebulun. Issachar.
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 Did you get Reuben after you got Reuben? Simeon.
Who'd you say?
Simeon.
Simeon, yeah, that's here.
Simeon. Reuben was the
Yeah.
firstborn of Leah, and Simeon and Levi, Judah and Issachar and Zebulun.
Asher.
And the sons of Rachel were Joseph and Benjamin, and the sons of Bilhah were Dan and Naphtali.
This
And
is
the
funny.
sons of-
This is funny right here. This is funny.
Then the sons of
We've got them all listed but one.
We've got Zip.
And it's the
sons
one in the
of
genealogy.
Zilpah.
It's the one in the genealogy.
And the sons of
Judah.
Zilpah, were Leah's handmaid,
Judah.
were Gad and Asher. And these are the sons of Jacob that were born to him in Paddan Aram.
Okay. So these the sons of Leah again were
Leah's sons were
Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah.
Yep, and Issachar and Zebulun.
And Issachar and Zebulun.
Yep, one. Reuben was firstborn.
Okay.
Simeon next, Levi.
Hey, hang on. Leah, Leah,
You had Reuben,
Leah, Leah, and Leah. Leah had 6 kids.
Judah, Issachar, and Zebulun.
Okay.
She had, yeah. 1,
Yeah, we get to switch
2,
colors
2,
first.
3, 4, 5, 6.
How many of these did Rachel have?
2, Joseph and Benjamin.
Some of them are really Genesis 35.
These are Rachel.
And Bilhah,
Yes, good.
that was Rachel's handmaid, had Dan and Naphtali.
Okay, so Dan,
Dan and
Naphtali, okay.
Yeah, and Zilpah, that was Leah's handmaid, and Gad and Asher.
Who are these from? The Exes.
these are from the handmaids.
Those were, yeah, the handmaids. Zilpah
Sorry, these are
and
Rachel's handmaids, these are Leah's handmaids.
Bilhah. Right.
Okay, who was the mother of Dinah?
Dinah, Rebecca. No, yeah. Jacob. Leah. Dinah.
Leah?
No, wait a minute.
Wow. 7?
Dinah, the daughter of Leah.
What
Okay.
was that?
34, 1.
34. And Dinah, the daughter of
I didn't
Leah.
know. Yeah, I was
She was
wondering,
the
put it
daughter
on the
of
chart.
Leah. There was one girl.
Okay, now which one is the lineage of Christ?
Judah.
Judah. Okay, and Judah begat who?
Judah being
Who's the one that's in the lineage?
Math Bible program.
We have to go to Chronicles.
okay, good.
Second Chronicles. Is it second? First or second Chronicles? First or second chapter?
Well, the second chapter, we're talking about Psalms.
Yeah, that's
It has to be first.
Those are,
Yeah, it's probably First Chronicles, first or second chapter.
Okay, sons of Ezra, Pharaoh, daughter of Pharaoh, that's in chapter 4. Judah, sons of Judah, chapter 4. Perez, Pharez, Hezron, Hezron, Reaiah, Reaiah.
Those are the first ones.
What?
Carmi, that's the next line.
Yeah, Carmi.
Carmi, and her, Hur, which was related to Ben. And,
Yeah.
Shobal.
And no doubt was related to Ben. Ben-Hur was, I think, of the tribe of Judah.
Really?
Yeah, he was a real person.
He's a real person, not
And he's
His
like
name
a,
was Judah
like a
Ben-Hur.
third,
Judah Ben-Hur.
and he was like a third cousin to Jesus. We've got the we got the lineage on
Well,
him.
he
We're-
really was a real person.
He
This
really was a
not
real
make-believe
person,
story. I
and
always
he-
thought this was a
And he
make-believe
really
story.
was he was a cousin of Jesus. Yeah.
I never knew that.
Yeah, we'll show you that on the chart here.
Wow.
Uh, Pharez is the one in the lineage. Who'd Pharez beget?
Pharez, okay.
Pharez begat Tamar, and Tamar begat Aminadab, and Aminadab begat
No,
Nahshon.
Tamar was Pharez's mother.
Tamar begat
You just gotta scroll
Boaz
down
and
and push
Rechab,
next every time.
and Boaz
I was trying
begat,
at 35.
I'm on a roll.
You're close. Tamar was the mother, though.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, you might want to maybe have to go to Matthew.
Pharez begat,
We did Twitter it or Facebook. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Aminadab, where am I going?
Matthew or Luke?
I'm still looking.
Whichever one ends up with Adam. Matthew may start with
Well, you were looking for what, the son of who?
Pharez.
Pharez.
We spell Pharez.
Sons of Simeon.
Pharez.
Sons of Simeon.
H-A.
Sons of
R-Z-E-Z.
Favorite.
It's either Matthew or Luke.
The ones that begats, and the other one's just the which one's the
Sons
sons
of.
of.
Yeah.
I think Matthew is the begats.
I think one of them stops at Abraham, the other one goes all the way to Adam.
This is fascinating once you get into study.
You're wanting the son of who?
Okay,
Pharez.
Sons
Here
of
we go.
Reuben, chapter 5.
and
Chronicles.
Judas begat Pharez and Zerah of Tamar. That's what was throwing me.
Yeah, there was two. They were twins.
Pharez and Zerah of Tamar.
Right.
And Pharez begat Ezram, and Ezram begat
Okay, hang on, slow down. S-E-Z-R-O-M, at least that's the New Testament spelling. Where you're in
It's
Matthew
got an
chapter
S
1.
here.
Huh?
It's actually got an S.
Okay, how you spell it?
E-S-R-O-M.
Oh, E-S.
Pharez
Sorry.
begat Ezram, and Ezram begat Aram.
A-R-A-M.
Aram begat Aminadab.
Aminadab.
Aminadab begat Nahshon.
How you spell it?
N-A-A-S-O-N. No, 2 A's and 2 S's.
Okay. Nahshon.
And Nahshon begat Salmon.
Salmon.
First name.
5.
Okay.
Boaz.
Boaz.
They spell it Boaz.
Yeah. This New Testament got a little funny.
Yeah.
Obed of Ruth.
Obed.
And Jesse.
Matthew.
Jesse. Matthew chapter 1.
And Jesse begat David.
And Jesse begat David.
We got Solomon.
Okay.
This book called, it's good.
Now, how many other wives do we know in this process? We know Adam and Eve.
Here, put the wives in green.
So she went to Solomon.
Underline
Just
green.
starting. It's by this lady that was on.
We know Abraham and Sarah.
She makes it a fun read.
We know Pharez's wife,
We know Isaac was with
Rebecca.
Rebecca.
I mean, if I had nothing.
Jacob had
Leah and Rebecca.
Leah and Rachel.
Or Rachel, I mean. And then,
Over to get Jesse.
Then Judah had
Pharez and Zerah of Tamar. So you got Tamar was the wife of Judah.
Tamar of Judah.
And then,
And then
Salmon was married to Rechab.
Salmon was Rahab. Boaz,
Ruth.
Ruth. And
Jesse.
David's wife, that had the children, was
The wife of Uriah, the Hittite, which was Bathsheba.
Bathsheba.
I've never known who said of her that had been the wife of Uriah. So we can talk about her.
Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of. Yeah, it's kind of.
Okay, so that takes us to David. David and Bathsheba, and there were two sons that ended up being the lineage. Can you tell me which two they were?
Two sons of who?
Of
Solomon.
David and Bathsheba.
Oh.
Solomon
Solomon
and
begat
Gaza? No.
There was Solomon.
And
begat Boaz.
Rehoboam.
Rechab and Boaz.
Who's the other son of David that was in the lineage?
Jesse begat David the king. King begat Solomon. Solomon. We have to go back a ways to get that. It's not here.
Rehoboam. Who's that?
Rehoboam?
Well, this says Rehoboam.
Yeah, that's same as
Same.
Rehoboam. That's Solomon's son when the kingdom was divided.
And Jeroboam.
Jeroboam was from what tribe?
Judah.
No. Jeroboam was king of Israel. He was from the tribe of
I don't know.
Ephraim, which was Joseph was split into Ephraim
Ephraim and Manasseh.
and Manasseh.
so there was Absalom and Adonijah, Amon.
Go to Luke. Now go to Luke. And it's over, I think it's over 2 or 3 chapters, where he starts giving the begats. I don't know, where he gives the
Which
son
one's
of.
the son of?
And go up to where you find David and see who it says the son of David is in Luke.
David's firstborn was Amon.
Ammon.
Ammon. Then Caleb, or
Eliab.
we call it Daniel. Absalom, the third son.
Okay.
And in Luke's where you find the genealogy of Christ.
But it goes backwards, doesn't it? Jesus himself, about 30 years of age, was
Right.
supposed to be the son of Joseph, which was the son of Heli, which was the son of Mathat, which was the son of Levi, Melchi, Jana, Joseph,
It was probably a playoff of it, yeah.
Matthias, Amos, Nahum, Esli, Nagi, Maath,
Nathan.
Matthias,
Nathan.
Which is son of
the prophet,
Nathan, the son of David, Bathsheba, the ancestor of Jesus, according to the genealogy of Jesus, in Luke considered to be some of the most maternal line.
Okay, so David had a son,
Of Mary.
he had like 3 or 4 sons with Bathsheba. Nathan is actually the firstborn after the one that died. Okay? And Solomon was born later, but Solomon was the lineage of the kings. All came from Solomon. How come Luke tells the story and uses the lineage of Nathan?
because the lineage in Luke is his mother's
Okay, Nathan is the father of Mary, Okay? And Solomon's line is the lineage of Joseph.
So Matthew starts
Step.
with Abraham, but Luke starts with Adam.
Right. So there's two different genealogies in the New Testament, and that's why.
Is it an injustice to call Joseph Jesus' stepdad?
No. No, that's exactly correct. It's the proper thing to call him. Now, is a stepfather equal a father of adoption? If you adopt a son of your mother's child, you're still a stepfather, right?
Yes.
Even if you've adopted him legally.
You know, we went to the coast.
Huh?
We're going to
Oh, but he has, but the adopted son has all the rights. In Jewish law, has full legal rights equal to the natural born sons. Okay? So this was the lineage of Joseph, and this was the lineage of Mary. And when we go through it, we'll find that these lineages actually come together and split back up through a wife, another woman, right here, and her name, guess what her name was?
Cleopatra.
Tamar. Another woman named Tamar.
Not the same one.
Not the same one. Different woman. Pulls it back together. Okay? Alright, so that's an overview of where we are. Now, when we talked about David last week, let's go back and review that. So you'll be sure and have the story, and we'll press on. Huh? I gotta find it. Page 27. We'll go to 26, the bottom of page 26. Where I said the next major character in our story is David, the shepherd boy. Because we did the big story about Tamar. We did the story about Rahab coming in. What lineage did she graft in? Rahab? You know what family she was out of?
She was back over to
Judah? From Ham?
One of the Canaanites. She come out of the city of Jericho, land of Canaan. Okay, so she had to be a Canaanite.
Ham.
Okay, which brings in Canaan and brings in Ham. Now, Ruth was from who?
Moab.
Moab. Where did Moab come from?
He's a Moabite.
Moabites.
Japheth? I don't know.
That was
Lot. Lot had Ammon
And Moab.
and Moab. And Ruth was the Moabite. Grafts the Moabite into Boaz in the lineage of David. Okay? Now, so David is the next character. We find Boaz begat Obed, Obed begat Jesse. We've discussed the story of Ruth and Boaz. What else is there to find about this story? Jesse and his firstborn Eliab and Abinadab the second, Shimei the third, Nathaniel the fourth, Radai the fifth, Ozium the sixth, David the seventh, whose sisters were Zariah and Abigail. So now we find David has two sisters. David has two sisters. You don't hear that talked about very often.
David had two sisters, Abigail and
Zariah.
What Zariah.
I didn't probably spell it right, but it's in that verse right there.
What verse is it? Where?
2 Samuel 17:25.
Here in 20,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no.
And Absalom made Amasa captain of the host.
20, yeah, page 27 there.
It's First Chronicles.
Whose name was Israel the Israelite.
First Chronicles
That
2,
went to
13 through
Abigail's
17.
daughter Nahash, the sister to
Zariah and Abigail, and the sons of Zariah, Ashbai and Joab. So Joab, who is Joab in the Bible? You remember that name? Pretty famous guy.
Yeah.
Joab,
Joab.
David's nephew.
He was David's captain in the army. He was head of the army, Joab. Okay, so he's David's sister's son, so that would be David's nephew, right?
Now, wait a minute.
Joab is David's nephew. He was captain of the army.
Wait a minute. Joab was David's nephew.
David's nephew, and he also became David's army captain. Basically the head of the army. Okay?
And where do we see that Joab was David's nephew? Where do we find that? Joab.
It says, and 3 sons.
Here it just,
David was at the 6th of David the 7th.
It's his sisters.
His sisters
Had 3 sons.
sisters were Zeruiah, and Abigail.
right.
And the sons of Zeruiah and Abishai and Joab.
So Joab was the captain. Abigail became Amsa. The father of Amsa was Jethro. He was from Ishmael. But we often hear
That brings Ishmael, which was Abraham's first son.
he brings him into the lineage of Judah, but not directly into the Messiah's line. Now I'm sure that a descendant got crossed in there, okay? But this is not. This is, married David's aunt, so it's not David's bloodline yet directly. Okay? But we often hear of David's brothers, but here we find David had 2 sisters as well. Absalom made Amsa the captain of the host, which would have been his cousin, because that was his father's sister's son. Okay? Instead of Joab. Okay? Which Amsa was a man's son whose name was Ithra, an Israelite. He went into Abigail, the daughter of Nahash, sister to Zariah, Joab's mother. Now we find that the sisters of David were born of Nahash. Now, we don't know who Nahash is directly. We don't know if Nahash is the name of a mother or a name of a grandfather on the mother's side. Okay? But the sisters are born of Nahash. They're David's sisters. David is born through Nahash. And yet it says that Jesse begat David. So the question comes, who is Nahash? Now when you look up Nahash, you find out that what Nahash means is, the meaning of the word in Hebrew? Serpent. Now that don't sound like a very good name to give your daughter, does it? Okay? So let's read on. In these verses we find the sisters are called the daughter of Nahash. This indicates that since David is their brother, they may not have been sisters to David's other brothers. In other words, David and these sisters shared the same mother and father and were half-brother and half-sisters to the other 7 brothers. It says David was begotten of Jesse. It's easy to conclude then that David was full brother to Abigail and Zariah, but half-brother to the other 7 brothers because they had different mothers. Okay? Now, if that is the case, and apparently it is, it starts shedding some light on a lot of things. It explains why David was not invited to the first meeting with Samuel. Because he was only a half-brother. David was an outcast in his own family. David was a type of Christ, just like Joseph was. Joseph was outcast from his family. David was too. Okay? This is just another way that David was taught of Christ. This also explains why little David was left to keep the sheep in the wilderness. Like Joseph, David was despised and rejected by his brothers. It has been suggested that his brothers were hoping that a wild animal, such as a lion or a bear, would be his demise.
And they had attacked him.
And he testified that he had to kill a lion and a bear. There have been brothers from second wives before. It was not uncommon. Why was the hatred for David? And the secret is in the name Nahash. There are several possible explanations, whether it is the name of David's mother or a grandfather on his mother's side. The significance of this name is that it is also the name of an Amorite king. Every other use of the name is associated with Ammon or an Ammonite.
In Psalms it says, King David said, "In sin did my mother conceive me, but it's no support of a sinful nature." Psalms 51:5.
And some have even suggested
that his mother
that had an affair with Jesse before she was taken in as a wife even. Another reason he would be an outcast from his family.
Is it possible that Nahash is not a name, but a affiliation?
Okay, and
that wicked woman.
Well,
I mean,
Sandra said that Nahash is also a title given to the Amorite kings, like Pharaoh. Not a name, but it was a title that they were called a Nahash. Okay, and so David's father. There's a lot of possibilities in this, but David's father would have virtually been a generation compatible with Saul. Saul, one of the first things he did was go to war against the Ammonites. Okay? He could have taken this woman she could have been a war prize. She could have been the daughter of the king. And David's family was high enough regarded in Israel that he could have been in the army, and that could have been one possible way that she got into this family.
Is that how trophy wives got started?
That's how they got started. So Ammon was the other son of Lot with Moab. Just as the family of Moab was grafted in through Ruth, it seems evident that Ammon is now grafted in through David's mother, who was an Ammonite. So through this Nahash connection, whatever it was.
I didn't hear what he said.
Said, I got my trophy wife.
Oh.
Okay, we now bring Moab and Ammon into the picture at some point here. Is my thesis. Okay? So it says David was ruddy. What does ruddy mean in King James? He was reddish. Had reddish hair, light complected. Is that the typical Jewish stereotype?
No, they're olive.
And dark haired. And so here the outcast, red-headed stepchild.
I wonder if he had blue eyes.
You wonder where the term probably came from or what it's linked to. See, here it is. David is ruddy, not dark-haired as a typical Jewish man. He did not fit their expectation of a king. This would explain why David was outcast from his family, why he was not considered originally as a candidate for king. David had several wives, and the one that came into the lineage of Christ was Bathsheba. She was God's choice, but she would not have been ours.
But she was beautiful.
She was pretty.
Very beautiful.
But wouldn't we rather have had Michal, the daughter of Saul, King Saul, as a way to preserve and strengthen the kingdom, and a way to merge the house of David and Saul together, or even Abigail, the former wife of Nabal? She was called a wise woman. But instead we get Bathsheba. What made her so special?
She was beautiful.
She had originally married outside of her tribe. She married Uriah
The Hittite.
the Hittite.
Yeah,
Okay? Who are the Hittites the fathers of?
they were really powerful. I don't know. We know
Heth.
Heth.
Sons of Heth, Hittites, and they eventually became Turkey. Southern Turkey.
Wait. Hittites eventually became.
This is can't be a coincidence. The one thing that you do when you go into Turkey is you get briefed, or if you even go into Germany and you go into a Turkish sector, you get briefed on this. They say, don't look at the Turkish women. The Turks are extremely jealous and protective of their women. After David stole the wife of Uriah the Hittite, the Turk, I wonder if that's
That jealousy crept
kind
into
of
the
a
equation.
generational thing.
Probably is connected right there. Probably the spiritual tie to that. Yeah, they don't even know why, but that's probably one of the strongholds that caused that to happen. So she married outside the tribe. As a woman, you would lose your father's inheritance just for marrying outside your tribe. You risk losing your identity for marrying outside of your nation. Her first husband was Uriah. Uriah was a Hittite. His tribe ended up forming much of modern Turkey. The Hittites came from Heth, son of Canaan. Abraham bought his burying cave. Remember when Sarah died, he bought the burying cave from Heth. Okay? Some Hittites remained, sons of Ephraim, remained in the land, and Uriah became a mighty warrior in David's army. Uriah proved to be more faithful to David than David was to Uriah. Bathsheba bathes on her rooftop and is visible to David while her husband has gone to war. David sends for her, and what is she to do? She cannot deny her king, can she? Do not think Bathsheba was entirely innocent in this matter. Her husband was away in battle. Maybe she was lonely. Maybe she thought she had made a mistake by marrying Uriah. You must think that if David could look over his balcony and see her, she must have been able to look back and see him as well. You probably know the rest of the story. Uriah gets killed in battle. Maybe that was God's plan all along, but it was not God's intention for David to cause it.
Well, now, when her husband was in battle, and she was on the rooftop, but he came back, didn't he? And he sent him back out too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Told the army to withdraw and leave him alone.
Yeah.
I don't think God had anything to do with that. I think that was just David's thing. God does not.
Well, yeah, no, I'm just saying that maybe he would have died in battle anyway,
Oh, right,
and Bathsheba, but
Right.
it was not God's intention for David to do it.
No, it
Okay.
wasn't, you know,
Now-
it could have happened because it was war.
So as punishment, their first child dies. We find that Solomon is born. And it is said when Solomon is born that the Lord loved him. The Lord loved Solomon. And she said to him, My Lord, thou swearest by the Lord thy God, thine handmaid, saying, Surely Solomon thy son shall reign after me, and he shall sit upon my throne. We find that David promised to Bathsheba that the throne would go to Solomon. When Absalom, another son of David, tried to establish himself as king, Ahithophel, one of David's counselors, sided with Absalom against David. Now this is a very fascinating story.
And Ahithophel, well, that was the son of Saul, wasn't it?
Now, Ahithophel, I'll have to, I don't know if I know who Ahithophel
Well,
came from.
What was the son of Saul that David went to get after everybody died?
Mephibosheth. Okay, so the counselor was Ahithophel, and he sided with Absalom. This was not a wise thing to do. David was God's anointed. But the counsel of Ahithophel, 2 Samuel 16:23, the counsel of Ahithophel, which he counseled in those days, was as if a man had inquired at the oracle of God. Ahithophel had a reputation for being so wise and so accurate that
So righteous.
and so righteous, so correct in his judgment, that when you had a problem, you took to Ahithophel and he would give you the right answer, and he had wisdom to no end, and he was David's chief counselor. And when Absalom rebels, who does Ahithophel side with? Absalom. Okay? Wonder why? Why would that be?
Since he
Well, let's read on.
was the grandfather of Bathsheba.
Ah, okay. So, we find that it was totally out of character for Ahithophel to choose Absalom over David. Why would he do it? Maybe he had a secret grudge against David over his conduct with Bathsheba. Why would he care? Maybe it was because Bathsheba was his granddaughter. Ahithophel's granddaughter is Bathsheba. And when Ahithophel sees that David's son is rising up to take the kingdom, Ahithophel, who had been David's counselor, jumps on board with Absalom.
It says, I don't want my grandson to be.
He was mad at David for something.
It would have been his great-grandson. If Bathsheba was his granddaughter,
Right.
then
Great grandson.
Solomon was his great-grandson.
Yeah. But
You'd think he would want.
You would
his
think he would
great-grandson.
want. But this can explain some other things as well. Ahithophel would have understood the importance of the lineage of David as the progenitor of the Messiah. I believe that like Tamar, Bathsheba desired to be in that lineage and understood it more than any of David's other wives. How come Bathsheba was so insistent that her son be the king? She just stepped up to the plate, and even at the end of David's life, when another son tried to become king, she sat there and says, hey, you promised me, and got Nathan the prophet to come in and verify it. And David said, yeah, okay, I did. He makes it right. Okay? Why did she understand this more than David's other wives? Probably her grandfather Ahithophel had taught her. Okay? That this was an important thing. We cannot say that God approved of her method, but we must admire her determination.
That's why she was out on that roof. She knew this history and she wanted it.
And just like Tamar, who was willing to do what she did to get a son in the lineage, Bathsheba wanted in the lineage. The dream of being in the lineage was not relinquished by her until she saw it come to pass. When David was dying, we find that, wherefore Nathan spake to Bathsheba, the mother of Solomon, saying, hast thou not heard that Adonijah, the son of Haggith, doth reign, and David our Lord knoweth it not. Now therefore come and give thee counsel, because Nathan also loved Solomon. Nathan was the oracle of God who said the Lord loved Solomon, no doubt. And I'll tell you what you may do to save your life and the life of the son Solomon. Go get thee to King David and say to him, did thou not, O Lord, O King, swear to thy handmaid, saying, assuredly Solomon thy son shall reign after me. He shall sit upon my throne. Then why doth Adonijah reign? So Adonijah tried to take the kingdom, and Bathsheba goes in and says, David's on his sickbed, but he says, hey, you promised. And Adonijah makes a premature bid for the throne. David is not dead yet. Bathsheba reminds David of his promise and secures the kingdom for Solomon. Now, I think this explains one other thing, though. When Solomon became king, how did he know to ask for wisdom? Because his great-grandfather was Ahithophel, who was the wisest man in the land, and it was passed down and taught to him and taught to Bathsheba, and instilled in him the importance of understanding and wisdom. And it was the legacy of Ahithophel, I believe, that brought that into Solomon's life. When his great-grandfather Ahithophel was known as the wisest man in the kingdom, the legacy of the understanding and value of wisdom was passed to him, possibly by Ahithophel and probably in part by Bathsheba. In fact, in Proverbs, one of the last chapter of the book of Proverbs is to King Lemuel, which they say is another name for Solomon, and it was the teaching of his mother, which would have been Bathsheba, about the virtuous woman.
That's for Proverbs?
Yeah, look at, I think it's Proverbs 31.
King Lemuel is Solomon?
Yes. Yeah, all the ancient guys agree on that.
No, that's Proverbs 34.
Let me double check this for you. Someone find Proverbs 31, tell me what it says.
Words of King Lemuel, the prophecy that his mother taught him.
Okay, there it is.
What my
Okay,
son, my Lord.
31:1, King Lemuel, the prophecy that his mother taught him. So where's this, if someone asks you, where's the scripture of Bathsheba? It's Proverbs 31. And her of all people to teach him the importance of a virtuous woman. You could say after what she done. And on the other hand, maybe she learned a real good lesson and she understood it better than anybody.
I don't know how smart he was. How many wives did he have?
Well,
700.
kind of makes you wonder there, didn't it? Okay. So, besides wisdom, the other thing that Solomon was noted for was his many wives. Although it was contrary to God's command, Solomon engaged in the practice. This does not seem wise at all. Neither shall he multiply wives to himself, talking about what a future king should do, that his heart turn not away. Neither shall he greatly multiply to himself silver and gold. And he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart. Solomon started leaning on his own understanding instead of wholly following the God of his father David. Solomon had 700 wives. They were princesses. Why did Solomon do this? Was he a lust-craved madman? Well, maybe in part, but that wasn't the reason he was doing this to start with. Okay? Solomon did allow himself to fulfill his earthly desires, but there was more to the story. Although Solomon missed the point of danger here, he probably thought he could control it. However, God was right, and his wives turned his heart from Jehovah. There was another aspect to this part of the story you should understand regarding ancient customs. It was an act of diplomacy for a king to marry the daughter of his friends, even his adversaries from other countries, as a way of making and keeping peace. Instead of a peace treaty or part of a peace treaty, then you marry the guy's daughter, the guy thinks twice about coming and killing you because you're now his son-in-law. Okay? You would not want to attack the king, who is now your son-in-law, and risk harming your own daughter, would you? We see other examples of this as we progress in our study. Solomon, a type of the Prince of Peace, was making peace with everyone. Solomon had peace in his days until he sought after idolatry to the point that God told him, now you're going to have a sword. Okay? But Solomon was... What also is happening through this process is we don't know how many other kingdoms, their lineages were grafted in, and to some degree their throne rights grafted in with it into King Solomon's lineage in one form or another. Okay? So God divided the kingdom after Solomon. He would have lost it altogether except for one thing, which we learned in the study of genealogy, and that is the power of legacy. Okay? We underestimate so much the potential of the power of legacy, don't we? We look to our heritage oftentimes, and in a lot of cases we don't, in America especially, we haven't kept good genealogy. We haven't, the average person hasn't developed and held on to their heritage as like like they have in some foreign countries or like they do in royalty.
Most of us can't go 5 generations back.
And so without a lot of study and research, in some cases, there are no records to even to find it.
We have, I think, we've got ours,
Kind of
I did quite a bit, my son did more. My son did more. We go back to Robert Bruce.
To who now?
Robert Bruce, you know, back in Scotland or.
Oh, yeah.
Wherever that was. Not, but Brian's traced it back that far.
That far? Well, that,
So,
Some people say that their ancestors hung by their tails. Now, I don't know about all that.
I don't know.
My ancestors, some of them hung by their necks.
Well, they, you know, could have been, I think Bruce got killed, didn't he? I mean, I don't know, they were all died in the end. So-
well, we should understand better and teach our children better the importance of legacy, especially a spiritual legacy, because the spiritual legacy that David had preserved his kingdom for generation after generation after generation after generation. Okay? I think for almost 40 generations. I got it written down in here, but it was a lot, okay? We'll get to it pretty soon. So,
Was it generation 40 years?
well, I'm just calling a generation from the birth of a son to the birth of the next son. Okay? So you can, depends how you want to define a generation, but from father to son,
I've heard it said
they're the
40,
next.
I've heard it said 70.
Some people look at 70 as a generation because that's, you know, the average lifespan. The children of Israel, they wandered 40 years till the old generation died off, the next generation come. But in our day and age, basically 20 years is a generation till the next generation is
A lot
born.
of these, like in P-Leg and all those, some were 29.
Some of them were 29 and
30.
30.
I mean, had children, you know,
Right.
when they first had children, the children in the birth line. So, you know, they started having children younger.
Yeah.
They didn't wait 40 years
Right.
before they.
Okay? So, the Lord said to Solomon, "Thou hast not kept my covenant and my statutes, which I commanded thee. I will surely rend the kingdom from thee, and I will give it to thy servant. Notwithstanding in thy days I will not do it, for David thy father's sake." There we go, the power of legacy is at work. "But I will rend it out of the hand of thy son. Howbeit I will not rend away all of the kingdom, but will give one tribe to thy son for David my servant's sake, and for Jerusalem's sake, which I have chosen." Is our life an incentive for God to extend extra grace to our children? Is our life that speak such a testimony to God that He remembers us and will extend extra grace to our children? So the kingdom after Solomon becomes two, becomes Israel and Judah. Okay? The lineage of Christ remained with the descendants of David and the kings of Judah initially, and through Joseph we see that comes true.
Yeah, but up here he says for Jerusalem's sake. I mean, is that Judah?
Well, yeah,
I mean, it's gotta be Judah.
Judah was in Jerusalem, was in Judah, and God had chosen to put His name in Jerusalem. So for Judah's sake, for Jerusalem's sake, and for David's sake, that gave him the incentive to preserve that as long as he could. Hopefully, that he could get a son out of the deal. What's God doing all this for? To bring His son into the equation. Okay, for the birth of the son. And if He destroys it all, and that's where He put His name, then he's got a problem, and he has to either start over, somehow find a way to restore it, and God finds a way. Even though He sends him into captivity for 70 years, He brings him back and restores it until Christ is born.
A lot of people would say, oh, it's difficult about Pakistan. But you know, God is such a mighty God to know that for this to be figured out, for His Son to truly be the truth of all nations.
He worked around free will to bring it to pass. It came to pass. It's not that it was specifically predestined, but in the working with free will, He could maneuver a few things to graft this lineage in, and then sin entered, and then there was a setback, and then he'd graft this lineage in, and then there would be revival, and then it would grow, and then there would be this problem, and then captivity, and then a nation would come in and oppress them, and then they'd cry out and have revival, and repent and turn back to God. And he'd graft this kingdom in, and this nation in. And God worked through all of that till he brought forth the heritage and the lineage of his son. And so, when you study it and look back at it, it's just almost too coincidental to be coincidental. God had to be watching over it to some degree. Because it ends up, we're going to see here pretty shortly, I think maybe the next thing that we get to, we find out that there was 3 generations where the lineage of David is down to 1 survivor. And then he gets married and has children, and then all those kids are wiped out but 1. Who gets married and has kids, and all of those are wiped out but 1. And 3 times in a row, for 3 successive generations, we end up with 1 heir to the throne. It was that precarious that God had to intervene to save the bloodline, to bring it to pass. Okay, and it's just a phenomenal story. What time is it? Are we getting to be now?
8:20.
8:20. Okay, so see, there was a couple other questions that I was going to put up here.
Don't raise it. Wait. Did you get in? Because he's reading it.
Oh, I'm not going to erase this yet. One other, do we know who, do you remember who Joseph's wife was? That was another woman we had put in, and I'm not sure her name is given. It might be, I'd have to look it up. Do you know who Joseph's wife was?
Oh, it says so in Exodus, doesn't it?
Genesis. In Genesis, probably chapter 47, 50, somewhere along in there, it'll talk about, well, it might even be before that, back when Joseph becomes prince. No. When Joseph taken out of prison, that's where you'll find it. That'll be up chapter 37 maybe, or somewhere up there. Gets released from prison.
Potiphar's house.
Goes into prison.
Joseph
has the dreams.
dream.
Pharaoh promotes him.
Joseph's exaltation.
Okay. Does he give a name? Marriage of Joseph, right here.
Yeah. And Pharaoh called Joseph's name Zephnath-Paneah. He gave him a wife, Asenath.
Okay, spell that for me.
A-S.
A-A-S?
No, A-S.
A-F?
A-S.
S.
Alpha, Sierra, Echo.
What chapter?
Okay.
N-A-T-H.
Okay. I forgot about that.
Asenath.
Asenath. Okay, this is Joseph, and who was she? Look and see who she was.
41.
Yeah, what chapter and verse are you on?
41, 46.
Chapter 17? 18?
41. Verse 45.
Oh, okay.
Asenath, the daughter of Potiphar, priest of On.
Okay, so she was a high priest's daughter of Egypt. Now think about that. Joseph marries the daughter of the high priest. So here we start to see something that we're going to see more of as we go through this. We'll see some other examples. But the kings if they weren't marrying a princess from another country, they were marrying a priest's daughter of their own religion. Okay? So they were grafting the priesthood into them, grafting it into their lineage as king, to have the authority of king and the divine favor in their life. And Pharaoh gives the high priest's daughter to Joseph for a wife. Now you say, well, what difference does that make? You end up finding out that Joseph is the lineage of Ephraim. Ephraim is, whenever David, Solomon, we have the kings of Judah and Israel. The kings of Israel were ruled by the tribe of Ephraim. All the kings of Israel came from the tribe of Ephraim. The high priest's daughter is Joseph's wife, the mother of Ephraim, and it ends up then that this high priest of Pharaoh is grafted into the kings of Israel, and the kings of Israel ultimately marry into the kings of Judah and become in the lineage of Christ. So the high priest of Egypt is in the lineage of Christ. Crazy. It just but see, as King of Kings and Lord of Lords, he called himself Son of Man. He was representative of all mankind, representative of all nations. He was representative, as we'll find as we go on further in his study. He's already representative of Shem, and we've got Ham starting to be grafted in. And later we'll find that Japheth is also grafted in, and he has got the lineage of Shem, Ham, and Japheth in his lineage. So he is, and of them the whole earth was overspread. He is King of Kings, Lord of Lords, Son of Man, and no one can say that they're not related to Jesus. We're all related to Jesus. In that we're related to him physically, but the most important thing is that we become related to him spiritually, because the flesh profiteth nothing.
Wow.
Okay? Okay, next time we will proceed down this lineage of kings, and we'll show these times that how that the lineage got reduced to one heir 3 times in a row. And that's with the devil trying his best to wipe it out. Okay? And that was by design, of course, and God, mercy and grace, intervened enough to preserve it.
So, tell me again what you said, his wife, who was she was supposed to be?
Who's that?
What you just were talking
Joseph's wife.
Joseph's wife
about. Right.
was the daughter of the Egyptian high priest.
But
Well-
she could have been the offspring of, I was reading, that
Well-
she could have been the offspring of
Of who?
Dinah's rape. I read that just now.
Who'd she say?
Dinah's rape.
There are some traditions, some funny stuff goes back there that people come up with,
Okay.
and I'm not going to say that it's all false. I just haven't come to a conclusion that it had to be true. So I'm trying to include the things that I'm basically persuaded of here through the study I've done, because at some point they'll start leading you down a path where it gets stupid. Even though it might be a little bit plausible, there's some limitations to how far down the legend road you should go.
Well, the scripture that we just read, it didn't say high priest, it just said priest. Did you get the high priest from somewhere
Well,
else? Or?
No, I just kind of, the priest of Onan, which was one of their chief gods, it was equivalent to the high, I mean, they probably didn't have a specific high priest person
Okay.
because they had several priests representing different,
Well, he would have
gods
been
of Egypt,
somebody
he would have
that
been-
was important because he was an important
he
man.
was sitting there in the palace and one of the top priests of Egypt, a high priest of Egypt, I might just say it that way instead of the high priest of Egypt. Would probably be more proper.
Okay.
Okay. So, and I think if we had the ability to see it, we know that Benjamin, who came out of Benjamin? You know what king came out of Benjamin? Sure you do.
Let's see.
First king of Israel?
Joseph's brother, but Benjamin-
Saul?
Saul.
Saul came out of Benjamin.
King Saul came out of Benjamin. Okay? The house of Saul eventually gets grafted back in. And I dare say that if we had the ability to trace it, that there's probably in some fashion, probably a link that we don't all have the ability to record it, to where that all of these tribes and all of, both Leah and Rachel ultimately get grafted in through a wife here or there. But Benjamin was the house of Saul. You know who else was of the house of Saul? Just a little preview here. Was of the tribe of Benjamin, and no doubt the house of Saul. I suppose you could argue not so, but I dare say it was of the house of Saul, because we know she was definitely the tribe of Benjamin, and that was Esther. And Esther gets grafted in. I always believed that Esther was part of the genealogy. I just didn't know how to put her there until we did this study. And it was amazing how it comes together. So this then, Ashpenath, is Egypt from Mitzrayim.
Asenath is Egypt.
Yeah, she was Egyptian.
And she, Joseph came out of Egypt.
And Put, I think Put is Ethiopia.
And they're just finding Ethiopian Jews all over the place now. They're trying to get back to Israel.
Although, and this is interesting because when we come to Moses, who was of the tribe of Levi, right? Moses was of Levi, and Aaron, his brother, became the high priest. And it said Moses married an Ethiopian. And people say, well, Moses married a black woman. But who was Moses' father-in-law?
Jethro.
Jethro was the priest of
Midian.
Midian. He was a Midianite. Midianites were sons of Abraham through Keturah. Should be Moses' wife. So it wasn't, she was not Ethiopian because she was black, she was Ethiopian because that was the country and the relationship there. She's actually Midianite, she's actually a descendant from Abraham.
Which was out of Shem.
Which would be out of Shem.
Have you put this on genealogy charts?
It's on, yeah, so most of it's all on that genealogy chart right there. Yeah. And we're gonna take and in the book, when we revise this book, we're gonna take sections of that chart. I've got a couple places where it's in here now, but I'm gonna take more and more of these little inserts, and I can't, put the whole thing, but I can say list, take this list, and I can put a page in the genealogy chart. I can, take just a page at a time and put a few tricky, especially the tricky relationships and things down that we're going to get grafted in this book in a chart format, and it's going to take some time.
All of it.
Huh?
That's amazing.
It's phenomenal. It's more interesting than people realize. They read over the begets and begots, and if you just read over them, you don't get much out of them.
They're coming home from Independence tonight.
When those people start becoming real people, you realize they got brothers and sisters and cousins and uncles.
They don't know like we know.
And it starts all making more sense.
That's right.
Is
Every
the
king,
king
every throne, every
of all kings, by rights, by blood rights, by...
So he was prince of the kings of the earth.
But I've heard almost every church I've ever been into, Jesus is the king of all kings. Kings of the earth.
And until we did the genealogy study, what that meant was he was just,
The most important.
the ultimate king.
The ultimate king. And he truly was the king of all these.
Yeah.